I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already feels like home.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford.
Hey guys, it's Mike. Today's episode is really one that I love because I've spent a lot of time thinking about why we don't celebrate success as much as we should. Sometimes I think we get so caught up in the idea of we've got to get to 100% on the goal before we can even think about celebrating. And sometimes it's okay to celebrate 60%. And so it's actually interesting that we talk about it today because we talk about it in terms of not only the way our success has gone as a community, but really how the success of the last year and coming through COVID has gone. So hopefully you'll find some inspiration from this and learn to celebrate your own successes from every once in a while. All right? Thanks. Hey, man. How you doing? It's a beautiful day today.
It is a beautiful day today.
It's probably our first really, really nice day of 2021.
Yeah, it got up to like 72.
Oh, it was probably more than that.
Was it? It was so nice.
So a lot of people don't know this, but I'm really an amateur weather geek. So for Christmas last year, I asked for my very own weather station, and I have one at my house.
That's awesome. So what kind of information does it give you?
It gives me wind speed. It gives me,
nice.
It gives me temp, of course. It measures rainfall. It gives me wind speed. It gives me the dew point. And in the wintertime, of course, wind chill. So I have been geeking out. Like I'll get on my phone at the office and be like, oh, I see. It's 1 degree warmer.
2 blocks away.
Yeah, 2 blocks away. So
that's awesome though.
But on my weather station today, it said it was 78 degrees.
Seriously, we got up to 78 degrees.
So
we'll take that.
It also emails me after every month. It'll email me a report of what the month was like. And
that's awesome.
I spent a lot more time reading that email than I probably should. So
that's so great.
But it was a beautiful day. It was probably the best day of 2021 so far.
Yeah.
And who knows when you'll be listening to this, but it was a beautiful day today.
It was. Yeah, just know that it was gorgeous outside. Yeah, I had a chance to get out of the office for a minute. I had a meeting, and as I drove back into town, I had the windows down, the moonroof open.
So do you miss the Jeep on days like this?
Here's the thing. For a trip like that,
right? I
would never have taken the top down.
Okay. Yeah, because it was too short.
It was too short of a trip, and you never know when you're going to get rain.
Right. More work than it's worth.
And it's that Jeep was a little cumbersome to take the top off. So typically about May 1st, I would take the top off, and it would stay off the whole summer.
Sure.
When I had some garage space but I don't have garage space now, so I can't do that.
Yep.
And I don't have a Jeep now, so
that's right. That's true. You don't have that either. So I probably just dredged up all the bad memories.
No, it's all good.
I miss and lament it
was a great
Jeep
vehicle, but I enjoyed my new ride.
Yeah, I like your new ride.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a dad mobile, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. The kids are Maddie and Caroline are like, Dad, where was that when we were kids? We needed that. We had to climb in the back of that stupid Jeep.
Yeah.
Wasn't the most practical
dad machine back then. I mean, come on. We get some things too,
That's right. Every once in a while.
So, we were talking before we started. We wanted to kind of focus today on celebrating small wins and how it's okay to do that. I think a lot of times where I see communities, people, organizations go wrong sometimes is things aren't perfect. So we're always striving to get better. So we don't recognize that, we had a small victory and we didn't recognize it. So in terms of, our conversations about where we live and all the things that we've been able to do in the last decade, when you look back at even 2016 or 2015, I guess, and we look at Chillicothe and we think to ourselves, well, geez, back that far back, we were in the midst of an opiate epidemic, and missing women were what we were known for, and things like that. We've come a lot farther than that, and things are not perfect. I was just having a conversation the other day with someone that said, and they're very involved in the recovery community, and they were saying that right now is a bad time. The pandemic has really had a bad impact on a lot of people's sobriety. And, they were admitting to me, like, it's pretty bad. We're seeing overdose deaths again. But I asked them this question, would you still say that we've come a long way? And they were like, oh, absolutely. We are so much better equipped to handle this now than we were 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, we have infrastructure to support that now. And I think we know more about the problem. Yeah. So we can better address it. Yeah. So I think, I could see that.
So why do you think people in general are just really reticent to celebrate? Not even just, I'm not even really talking about one win. You could, say you've got a thing and a problem or an issue in a town, and it's a big one to resolve. And let's say we get 60% of the way to resolving it, but we know it's going to take another bump to get to 70 or 75%. But we have trouble really celebrating it because we feel like we haven't gotten the 100%. Why do you think that is?
Well, we're a really goal-oriented society. I mean, everything is measured off of goals. And I think that that overflows into everything. Hey, kids, here's the grade card we're looking for.
Right.
So like, this is the achievement that we want from you. So I think that people struggle, like, naming the goal, achieving the goal. And like you said, sometimes we're trying to achieve perfection, and that's really probably not possible. So finding that benchmark, once we hit that benchmark, I guess naming benchmarks, and then celebrating there. I think that we just have a problem with, it's always about win,
right?
Winning. We live in a society that you're either a winner or you're a loser. Then there's nothing in between. So if you don't achieve 100%, then you lost. Yeah.
So I was going through this earlier today, and I just came up with this phraseology. So I may screw it up, and I may need to retract and then go back. But so sometimes I think good is the enemy of great, excellent is the enemy of great, and excellent is the enemy of perfect. And so that somebody will probably comment on this podcast and say that it was.
That's okay. We invite comments.
Yeah.
We want discussion.
But I knew what I was saying. So
No, I'm tracking with you.
We're so conditioned to believe that when you get to if you're 50 feet away from the summit of the mountain, like, it's okay if they just add another 100 yards to that mountain, that you just got to keep climbing. And I think sometimes we just get so overwhelmed by the idea that the next thing is coming up that we forget to go, wow, I came a long way in 6 months or 2 years or whatever it is. Right.
Right. Well, you don't have to look very far to find that. Like, in video games,
right?
You like level up. You've got to level up. You're always leveling up. Yeah. And then you're like, yes, I made it to level 10. And then you talk to somebody and they're like, I'm on level 50. Crap.
Yeah.
Seriously. I'm level 10.
Literally every video game I've ever played.
Right. So there's this, you're always shooting for the stars, and sometimes you can't get to the stars.
Yeah. I find that to be true when I watch things on Netflix or whatever. So I've been watching the show Kingdom, which is this like MMA drama thing. And I'm pretty into MMA. So people kept saying, oh, you got to watch Kingdom. You'll really enjoy it, so on and so forth. And so I started watching it. And I just started the third season. There's only 3 seasons. I just started the last season. And I was talking to somebody, this was like a couple weeks ago when I was still in the middle of the second season. And I'm like, hey, are you watching it? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, have you gotten to the part yet? They're like, oh, yeah, I got to that. Like, where are you? And I said, oh, I'm like midway through season 2. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm almost done. And I got super envious of them for some reason. Like, I was like, well, I'll get there. You know, we were talking earlier about being a slow reader of books. I'm kind of a slow consumer of media too.
Yeah.
And so there's always that thing of like, if you are way ahead of me on something, I'm like, oh, come on, why am I not where, he is?
I might as well give up.
But it's just this sort of, it's like, why am I still watching this? I'm never going to get there, when in reality, you're going to get there. And I think that applies to what we're talking about too. Like, I mean, are we going to get to 0 overdose deaths? That was never the goal.
No.
Right? Are we ever going to get to 0 downtown buildings filled that are unfilled?
Right.
No, probably not.
No.
We could get close.
Right. But we never get to, they're talking about it could be next year before we get to full employment in the United States. But what does full employment mean? You have a percentage of people that will not be employed. And so full employment is not 100% every person with a job. And
let's be honest, COVID is still going to be around.
Right.
It's not like it's going away.
Yeah,
there
we're
are
going to live with this
vaccines now.
Yeah, we're going to live with this for a while.
Yeah. And so
maybe forever.
The question really becomes, what are we really shooting for? Right. I mean, if perfection is always your goal and you're just below it, are you sad? Are you disappointed in your performance? I mean, I think of, it's hard. We're in the middle of March Madness season as we record this. And, there are some teams that should not be playing because of the seeding, right?
Right.
But they're the Cinderella story, right?
Exactly.
Now, if they don't make it to the final and win the whole thing, was that season somehow, not worth it? I think, it might feel that way when you lose.
Yeah.
Now. But 10 years from now, everybody will be like, wow, that was a run.
Yeah, you remember that run.
We had a blast doing it, you know? Yeah, because we never expected that we were going to get that far, right?
Yeah, and perfect to add to that is every game, every interview afterwards to the coach is like, oh, yeah, we're going to celebrate this win tonight, and then tomorrow we're back at it.
We're back to work, yeah.
Yeah, we're back to work. Every coach, that's his standard answer. It's like they have it like a play button. It's pre-recorded.
Yeah.
But that's the expectation.
Yeah.
So, it's hard.
That's like the cliches that they had in Bull Durham. We're like, we got to take one game at a time. I'm just here to help the team, Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes, it's okay to also have another challenge. I know people that have really worked hard on the opiate issue that after a while they had to let that go, and they did great work.
Yeah.
But it's soul crushing work too, right?
Yeah, that's just tough.
So some people can't do it forever.
Yeah.
And most people can't do it forever. And so you got to turn it over to the people that have the energy and the passion and let them run with it for a little bit. Maybe their ideas will be different, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I from the outside looking in, I think we've done a great job in the community of teaching people, educating people, about addiction and about going back to the opioid thing. I've learned so much. I mean, I remember when this was happening, in the midst of it, I have a little sound system, and you'd say, "Hey, we're doing this town hall meeting. Can you provide sound?" And I normally would not have gone to that town hall meeting,
right?
But I went to 7 of them because I provided, or 5 of them, or whatever the number was.
Yeah.
Because you asked me to provide sound. I'm there just to have a microphone for people to talk into.
Right.
And I heard so many stories. And so I got educated to better understand addiction, to better understand the problem that we were having, the lack of infrastructure for those people, those folks, the lack of just pure help.
Yeah.
Like there's just not enough people to do the work
right.
to help out. And I feel like we're in a different position now.
A quick aside, what we just learned was that I've been dragging Marty along for a lot of things over the years.
And that's okay.
So
it's been healthy. It's good.
But I think you're right. I think, we would, and being a part of it back then, what I would find is we would think to ourselves, because the idea for a long period of time was let's just arrest our way out of this thing. Send people to prison, they'll clean up there and we'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And then we found, well, wait a minute, there's not that many prison cells and not that many beds. So, okay, if that's the case, then what else can we do? All right, well, then let's try to do treatment. All right, guess what? There's not that many beds and not that many places to go. And, you are always combating the addict's willingness to get clean. Right. So if you just base it on, it's kind of like, a hole in a dike where you're just like, okay, I'm going to plug this hole and the water's going to not come out anymore. And then another one springs out. Right. So you really have to, you have to just be continually looking for stuff to do, but know that once you say, okay, hey, look, we're going to create a post-overdose response team, that it is a tool to help you stay ahead of the game a little bit, but you're probably never going to get over the hump, right? There are certain things that you can do. So you can look at a single building in downtown and go, that's the one that we want to fill. And then go after that. Huntington Building was like that. Mm-hmm. Huntington Bank Building was that way. The Carlisle was like that. But now there are others. The Howson Building still sits there, and it still sits there unused and unrenovated. Right. We have
it has a lot of potential.
We have a movie theater on Bridge Street that is empty.
Yeah.
And so, and not being used. So these are the things that all it really takes is one person to say, I want to fill that movie theater. I want to go into that building. But even when you do that, it's not done, right? Like you can still do it, but then you got to keep the movie theater going. And then you got to find the people to go in the retail space at the Howson Building and so on and so forth. In that sense, there's a part of it that is never done, but at the same time, just because it's never done doesn't mean you can't say we did this.
Right.
We made the community better because we did this.
And it's important to be able to say that.
Right.
Like I mentioned earlier, setting goals and accomplishing, like when you accomplish a goal, it's a milestone. Like you should take a moment to celebrate that, because if you don't, then you lose a lot of momentum, because you never have that finality. You never have that, the motivation to continue. It starts getting long in the tooth, and you're like, I don't know if I can keep this up. But if you take a moment to celebrate, like, hey, this is where we're at. We got here. This is fantastic. Let's cheer. Let's have a party.
Yeah.
And then, okay, now you have some energy to move forward. And
so I think where getting somewhere gets you other places is when it creates hunger in you for a new challenge.
Right.
So for example, years ago, the Chillicothe basketball team was very good, and they got to, I believe, the regional final and lost. And the next year they won the state championship. That's a great way to look at, we got this far and that was a great thing, but we could go one step further. I think if achieving something creates more of a hunger to do something else, that's not a bad thing. And I hope people don't get that from this.
Yeah.
I hope what they get from this is that it's okay to celebrate it and then move to the next thing, or even say we're celebrating this small thing because it's important for all of us in this group, on this team, in this organization, to understand that we achieved something great. But now it's time to go on to the next thing,
And then it's the success breeds more success.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you never take time out to recognize it as success, then it's hard to reach that next level.
Yeah. I mean, when I left the Gazette, I was probably riding a mountain in terms of a professional relationship. You know, we were achieving great things, but it was largely unfulfilling for me because of the corporate environment of it. So I had to sort of say to myself, what else could I do? And so what else I could do was to leave.
Yeah.
Because if you're not particularly happy, you probably need to do that.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation with my then boss in the middle of that year, beginning of that year, and just saying, I don't know where this is going, but I got a feeling it's going away from here. And, you know, his statement to me was, I don't relish that idea because, you know, my job is to keep you here.
Right.
But I also know I can't fight that. And when the right thing comes along, it'll be there. You know?
I mean, we all desire to have to achieve things and just finish projects and and have some sense of completion. You know, so many people are great starters but horrible finishers,
right?
Or some people are horrible starters, but once they're in, man, they can finish a project like nobody's business. And I think you need to. Every person needs to find that and have that happen in their life so that they can become even more successful.
Right.
You know, allows them to move on to the next thing and have the energy and the drive and the ambition to make those things happen.
Yeah. You know, I spent a lot of time when I first got here and when I became the editor of the paper, I spent a long time after that just throwing my hands up in the air and saying, why does nobody talk about Chillicothe? Nobody talks about Chillicothe. They talk about all these other places. They never talk about Chillicothe. And then they started talking about Chillicothe in a bad way. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I want to go back to the other time. But then it created in me a desire to try to figure out, like, all right, how do we get them to talk about us positively?
Yeah. How do you change the narrative?
Yeah. And how, and basically the way out of that is you have to stop waiting for other people to do your work, right?
That's right.
Because only you are going to work as hard as you can work to get that done.
Yeah.
And so it became at that point in time, you know, and I'm not taking any of the credit for the way the opiate situation evolved. I was a small part of that. But the people that did it because they came together as a community. When we decided to make downtown a thing again, it took the leadership of Adena Health System. But even before that, there were a few people that were already locating their businesses down there. You know, Totem Supply Company and you know, places like that were already coming down there. And, you know, to them, it was a gamble worth the risk, right?
Right.
They were chasing a dream. So those are the people that helped to change that narrative and to help shape what the future was going to be like. And, you know, next thing you know, it's, you know, 15 years later and we're all saying, wow, okay, it's a little better than we thought it was or whatever.
Right. Do you think we've had an opportunity to celebrate some of those victories?
So I think when they opened Carlisle, we had a little bit of it because we had a big party in the middle of Paint Street. Yeah, and
I was there that day. That was great.
And it was a lot of fun. But I think we've not taken some of the opportunities that we've had. And look, I mean, you know, we opened 50 West Brewing Company, their place downtown in the middle of COVID. So like we couldn't have a big party then, right?
Yeah, it was impossible.
There are some other ones that we've celebrated as well, or that we could have celebrated and maybe celebrated a little bit more. It's also a little hard to do sometimes when, you know, this business opens and, you know, next thing you know, another business that's similar to it opens and we make a big deal about the second one, but not the first one.
Right.
And so I think that gets problematic sometime, but, you know.
Yeah, especially you from the chamber standpoint.
Well, yeah. I mean, what I've always tried to do is to say, how do we take the opportunity for like a downtown open house or a specialty event 4th of July, which of course that didn't happen last year either.
Yeah. Everything was canceled.
Christmas, like we usually have a big tree lighting ceremony. We did not do that last year. So that's why I think those things are super important this year.
Right.
For us to say, you know what, we're still here. And we may have lost a lot of people that we love, but we're still here. The businesses are still here. Everything that you love about your hometown or the town that you live in, all the things that draw people from other places to come here, they're still here. And so let's be happy about that and let's celebrate that, It's very important.
Yeah. I mean, I think as we come out of this pandemic and come to closure, like you said, we're probably going to live with this for a while, maybe forever.
Right.
We may never fully eliminate. We may continue to get vaccine shots, just like we do flu shots.
Right.
But we have to draw a line in the sand at some point and say, okay, it's time to turn the star off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And, in the previous podcast, we talked about the star and why it's lit in town and what Mayor Feeney did almost a year.
It was almost, yeah.
Like
it was
last
pretty
week.
Close, yeah.
So, but it's still lit. And so what is that day that we decide?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not going to be perfect, but at some point we have to celebrate the success of we made it through and we're on the other side.
Yeah. And even the governor said, okay, when we have cases consistently at 50 per, was it 100,000, then we'll lift all restrictions.
Yeah.
We're going to need to set that benchmark as well. And I don't know that we've ever heard that. Right.
Yeah, right.
And so that,
be for Chillicothe or for our area.
Yeah. And I mean, if we haven't set that benchmark for us to turn the star off, does it just stay on?
Right.
Then does it lose some of its value during Easter and Christmas when it is illuminated in different ways?
Yeah. I think as a community, the day that the mayor says, hey, it's happening.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be an event. I think we need to celebrate that as a community.
Yep. Yeah. And I think, just like anything else, when we look back at the 100 and some deaths that we've had, and we look at the number of cases that we've had and the people that are, because, I think sometimes death is obviously the biggest one that we look at, but the number of people that I talk to that say, and I still get this brain fog every once in a while, or I'll get this just like crazy headache out of nowhere. And then, just these lingering, lasting effects. They'll have to be part of that ceremony is sort of like lamenting what you've lost, but it's also celebrating that we are able to, keep going. Yeah. And it's just like when you have a war or when you have any other type of major disaster, in your town, at some point you got to pick yourself up and kind of move on.
Yeah. I have a friend right now who is in the hospital with COVID, and she's putting updates out on Facebook. And her update today was my doctor is telling me that I'm probably going to be dealing with these lung issues for the next year.
Yeah.
And that seemed pretty daunting to her.
Yeah.
But, we now have a year of data, right? So they're starting to really understand what this can do to people.
Yeah. And I think we're getting off the path a little bit, but maybe this is a different thing, but I do think that there is a part of this too that says what we've learned in a year, we can now, Emily, talking about celebrating the little success. A year ago when we shut everything down and you and I talked to a medical doctor about this, he was like, oh, it was absolutely the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know if all your hospitals were going to be overwhelmed and your ICUs were going to, would you have enough beds, enough vents, blah, blah, blah. But then when we had this conversation, when it was October or November, he's like, but we know so much more now. And we also have, we have a plan to have more beds and to have more vents. We hope we don't use it.
Right.
There's a part of what we were talking about earlier that applies here. And that is this, what you've learned you can celebrate the fact that you learned it and that it now changes your approach. So when we looked at it like, okay, we got to sit here and sanitize our hands every 5 seconds and wipe down every surface every minute of the day. Like we realize now, okay, you use a computer or whatever, you wipe it down at the end of the day and you sanitize your hands regularly. You wash your hands when you go to the restroom, things like that. That all makes sense, right?
Sure.
But, is it, do we have to just lock ourselves in a house and not come out? Well, that doesn't really bear to be true now, right?
Right.
I mean, we know more
we have
than we
data
did before. Like we didn't have kids go to classes at the end of the school year last year. We canceled winter and spring sports. We cut off winter and spring sports for the high schools, but we had those seasons this year.
Right.
The kids went back. We took precautions when cases went up, and then when they came, and now they're coming back down. So learning a lot and celebrating what you learn is really important too.
Yeah. The NCAA tournament, there was one game.
Yeah.
That's been canceled.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. We played an entire NFL season through the guidelines, through the restrictions.
Yeah.
And not a team missed a game.
Yeah.
So we learned a lot, and we can celebrate the fact that we learned, we grew, and now we know better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really interesting to me to look at the parallel of how the city's trajectory and how our community's trajectory went. And then, we all were sitting here a year ago saying, man, if COVID puts us back into the basement again, do we have enough drive and determination to do it again? And I think what we found was we didn't have to go there.
No.
We were able to say we have enough drive and determination to follow the protocols, to reinvent what we do, and to keep everybody safe. And so if that's the case, then let's do that and then just work our butts off to keep things going in some way, shape, or fashion. And it wasn't easy.
No.
But, the last 10 years has not been easy either. There's a lot of machinations that go into renovating the Carlisle building. And there was a point in time where that was almost about to not happen. And then, the Community Foundation and Jobs Ohio and everybody just pulled together and said, all right, how do we eke the last drops of the juice out of the fruit? And that's how it got done, Yeah. And we had to do that too. I mean, we had to do that with what we did over the last year. I mean, just when you think you don't have the money to get you through the end of the year, the CARES Act comes through, right? Or PPE or whatever that looks like for you or your business or the people that you love,
Yeah. Yeah. It was really a joy. From a social media standpoint, because that's how we were getting a lot of news during the pandemic,
right?
About how people were getting creative to just make their business survive.
Yeah.
And I think that those businesses that were creative enough to survive, their future is bright because of the lessons they learned this last year and how they learned how to operate really lean.
Yeah.
And they learned how to we had restaurants that had zero carry out business that went to 100% carry out business for a short period of time.
Yep.
And they made it.
Yep.
And it wasn't pretty and it wasn't perfect. But dang, they did it.
Yeah.
They're still here.
Yeah.
They're still making food. They're still,
Well, I think I've used this example before, but I mean, Mile Tree Screen Printing went out and basically created shirts for a bunch of businesses and said we'll donate the proceeds of this shirt. Will go right back to the business. If you buy a High Five Cake shirt, it's going back to them. It's not going into our pocket.
It's amazing.
I mean, that's also reinventing yourself to be a community contributor more than just a business at that point, right?
Yeah.
You're not trying to eke out every dollar for yourself. You're trying to figure out how to spread it around a little bit too. And I think that's really, really important in times like this,
But just weeks before maybe you were that type of business that,
Yeah, I mean,
that didn't have that sense of community and how you could contribute.
and the desire of the flesh is probably pull it in more. How do I get mine? So on and so forth. But what I think we saw, and I think it was great, and I can't speak to other communities because I don't live there. But to me, what was awesome about it was we had a lot of people doing that, you know,
Yeah.
and trying to spread kindness, you know, paying for coffee at a place, you know, here's $20, pay for the next 5 people that walk in or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And just paying for the person behind you at the drive through or whatever.
So a lot of that happened. I think the thing that happened to Sweet William for Valentine's Day, amazing. Somebody walked in to their tent and said, I'll buy everything. What do you have left?
Yep.
I'll buy it and just give it,
Just give it away.
give it to
Yep.
people that didn't have the money to do this.
Yeah.
What, I mean, that moved me to the point I'm like, wow, what can I do?
Yeah.
I definitely didn't do that. So, how can I participate in that kindness? Because
Yeah.
you saw how it changed lives, and it puts it's a celebration of our community.
Yeah. I heard of a great story that sort of kind of puts this into perspective a little bit. So guy was at McDonald's and he thought, okay, I'll pay for the person behind me. And so he went up and his was like, $2 or something because he got the 2 for $2 or whatever. And he said, hey, let me pay for the person behind us. And they're like, their bill was like $40. And it was like that moment where you're like, oh man, like how come I couldn't have got the guy that just got a sweet tea, right? Like
the dollar and
but to his credit,
change.
he was like, well, I guess I got to put my money where my mouth is and do it. Right.
yeah.
But I think it's that kind of thing where you stay with the plan and you do it that creates, and I think those stories are really a lot more, prevalent than we think they are in a town like this, in a community like this, where there's just a lot of people out there. I know a couple of years my son played on a baseball team, and there was a couple kids on the team that not only did they not have cleats, but they had tennis shoes that just weren't suitable to play either. And so a couple of people on the team were like, hey, let's go to Goodwill or wherever we can go, yard sales or whatever, find out what the kid's size is, and then he had 2 pairs of cleats after that,
Right.
So, I mean, it's that's the kind of, familiar atmosphere that I think we have here that we really, and that probably has always existed here,
Right.
but it becomes more important during a pandemic than any other time. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. That's stuff I've seen happen, my whole life here.
Right.
Jen and I were grabbing dinner one night, had this amazing conversation while we were waiting for a table. And we went in and they got seated. The person we were talking to got seated first. And then we were probably 20 minutes later. And as we went to pay, the waitress comes up and says, oh, your meal's already taken care of.
Yeah.
And for me, like my pride kicks in and, oh gosh,
Right.
1, who did that? 2, I've got to be able to thank them.
Right, sure.
And I've got to pay it back. And I didn't have that opportunity, and how it's almost humiliating.
Yeah.
But that sense of kindness, we've been fortunate, and maybe every community has it.
Right.
But how do you celebrate it? And how do you, it's hard.
Well, and I
fun.
think, getting back to what we talked about at the beginning, I think you're not going to, if I go out and I pay it forward today and I post something about it on social media or I talk about it in front of people, does it look like I'm bragging?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important sometimes to do, to at least say something to show people that it is happening. I mean, look, and if you're the recipient of it, I think it's really cool if you put it out there, because I love reading those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just, hey, somebody paid for my lunch today and I'm super happy about it. Thank you for doing that, whoever you are. Right.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that just fills me with pride about our community. Now, maybe I wouldn't do that for myself. Hey, I paid for 5 people's lunches today or whatever. Like that seems a little, a little untoward.
A little
right?
self-serving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's important for us to at least acknowledge when that's happened. I mean, get some karma out there, maybe it does inspire somebody else to do something else. One of the ones that caught on really well last year during the pandemic was the whole bear crawl thing, where the teddy bears got put into people's windows. And, we have 3 little ones. So, I mean, we went to Story Place. We went to, the east side, we went downtown and
just looking for bears.
But that started out with just a couple of people saying, hey, we're going to do this. And next thing you knew, like the whole area was doing. I think we drove in Brewer Heights one day and we're just driving around up there and saw several.
Yeah.
Those are the types of things that I think you don't think about it as being a big deal. I'm not exchanging money or doing anything like that, but that can, that gave a lot of families something to do with their kids in a time when most kids were in their house, other than, especially when we first started this in March, April, when it's still kind of cold.
Yeah.
They
were trapped.
Trapped in the house
fever.
for 20 hours out of 24, for the most part. So, never underestimate the fact that you could not spend a dime, but it could be worth millions to people,
Right.
just in terms of their well-being and their mental health,
So what are some things that we as a community should be celebrating now?
I think we should celebrate the amazing natural resources that we have. We only in the last year or two have developed a trail guide. I gave it to somebody today from out of town. And I jokingly call Ross County, Ohio's biggest outdoor playground, because I've left a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in the trails of Great Seal State Park. I know a lot of people love Buzzard's Roost and places like that. And when I talk about these places, I tell people all the time, like, I know you think you've been to other places, but you need to go to Buzzard's Roost and just look at the view one time.
Yeah.
You need to go to Great Seal and make it all the way to the top of Sugarloaf and just know that you've accomplished something, because it is a climb.
Yeah.
And so to
Saturday.
me, it's the natural resources. That's one of the big ones for me.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm part of a hiking group that once a month they pick a different trail, and we've spent the last couple months in Great Seal because there's so many great trails.
Amazing.
But we made it up to Rock Garden and Sand Hill.
Yeah, awesome.
And those rocks up there, it's fantastic. And the percentage of our county that has not been there.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of the population has made
Lord,
that?
I think I lived here for 15 years or 10 years at least before I had ever even stepped into Great Seal. I mean, I might have went to the shelter for a picnic or something, but never knew about it. In fact, I don't know that I ever knew there was a horse camp over there for the first 10 years that I lived here.
It has some of the best mountain biking. Mm-hmm. I have a couple of friends that live in Portsmouth near Shawnee, and they come to Great Seal to mountain bike because the trails are so well maintained and fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to celebrate.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I would say in that regard is it is okay for us to celebrate that the mix of the businesses that we have throughout our county. We have this amazing little gem of a theater out in Bainbridge, the Paxton Theater, that has ebbed and flowed over time. It has been a really nice little pinnacle of local country music and things like that over time, and then it kind of went down a little bit, and now it's kind of back up on the upswing.
And the pandemic was hard for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're going to be back this year is a big deal, right? But then we have, something as big and grand as Tecumseh. We have an amazing gem of a city park that has a bike trail that goes through the heart of it that, when Quint Studer was here last year, he said, Mike, this is like Central Park and the High Line at Central Park. Like, it is your High Line. And you need to celebrate that thing. You need to get more people into that park and hit it so hard. These are all the amazing, and we have Mound City just north of town. We have,
which has an opportunity to become a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Yep. That is, people don't understand what that means.
Well, I mean,
for our community,
what I've told people is, if and when it happens, get ready to see a lot of people that don't speak the same language as you and don't look like you.
That's right.
Because there are a lot of people that from Europe and Asia and that their vacations are not spent going to the beach. They are spent going to UNESCO sites.
Yeah.
And they've been to the Stonehenges and they've been to these places. And for some of them, it's just going to the ones in the United States.
Right.
And so when there's a new one, it's a big, big deal. Talk to the people in St. Louis about when they designated that site just outside of St. Louis a few years back. And now they're getting 2 million visitors a year to a place that, didn't have many visitors at all. It was kind of like Ross County in that sense,
Right. Yeah. I hear a lot about that plan, and it's big. It could have a gigantic impact.
It's going to be a game changer for really all of Southern Ohio because it is the way it goes, from Newark all the way down to Lebanon there. So yeah, it's going to be a big, big deal. And that's again, these are all natural resources. When you go up to Adida Mansion and you look out, the overlook there, and you see the Great Expanse. Actually, on Monday, I took my walk. I started walking again because now it's warm.
Right.
And I went up to Grandview. And of course, the leaves haven't filled in yet, so you can see out so far. And you think about, all the years ago when all that was just green.
Yeah.
And think about how amazing that is. This is just an amazing place to live in terms of just, I remember when I came down here from flat old Sandusky, northwest Ohio, and came down here, and I thought I had moved into a mountain range or something.
Left the lake life.
Yeah, because it was not flat, and there were things that rolled and looked like, stuff that I'd never seen really, other than there was a hill next to my house.
Yeah. But
it was a hill about the size of, the incline to, a handicap ramp now. So,
Right.
it's just amazing to live in a place where there's just a lot of natural resources to really, and then, you think about the waterways that we have, and, you mentioned the bike trails and the hiking trails. Like, it's just a great thing to spotlight.
Yeah. And I think that's a great way to celebrate. And how do you celebrate it?
Right.
Well, you celebrate it by investing in it, go out and visit and spend time in the parks, celebrate, make it, businesses making it through the pandemic. How do you celebrate that? You go shop there, you go eat there, you go, share your good fortune, and continue to support them.
Yeah.
We supported them through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now we continue to support them.
Yeah. Today, the Secretary of State was in town to do a little business roundtable for us at the chamber. And, toward the end, we went down to do a proclamation at a local business, Brookhaven Spa, that was spotlighted as part of the Women in Business series that he does. And, so we walked from the chamber down to Brookhaven. And so when we were walking by 50 West, I mentioned to him, and he said, "Hey, I love it." He goes, "I've been to their Cincinnati location a bunch of times." And he's a Green Beret, and he does a lot of veterans work, and specifically for Green Beret organizations. He said, "Yeah, they were part of our Green Beret charity event that we did down in Cincinnati." And as I mentioned to you earlier, I think we got him talked into coming down, doing a kayak, and then, and then stopping by to get a beer and a burger later.
Yeah.
And, so, once people find out about things, they get pretty excited. I was walking in downtown it would have been in 19. I was walking around doing an inventory of all the banners. That sounds like a fun day. It was a nice day, so I take that. So I was walking past the poorhouse, and there were two guys clearly in cycling gear. Okay, And so as I was walking around, I was looking at the banner and I was writing some things down. They're like, "Hey, do you work for the city?" And I said, "No, I'm actually the chamber executive here." And he said, "Oh, well," he said, "we actually rode down on our bikes today with the intent of going down 23 and then going out to Dayton and then coming all the way back." He said, "We came down here and decided, let's just go down and get something to eat real quick. So now we spent like 4 hours here. So we're going to have to go back to Circleville and then we'll come back with our wives another time, but we're definitely going to come back here."
Yeah.
And, do the things that we're doing. I mean,
They got distracted and didn't make it to Dayton.
yeah, like
That's awesome.
I was like, can I just get your names so I can just attribute this to somebody?
Yeah.
Because am I being set up? Like,
Because I'm going to share the
who's
story.
just saying this about the chamber guy, But it was a great thing to hear. Like, again, I think for the most part, we spent a lot of time being a place that people pass through and never really stop. So the idea that we're getting people to stop and stay and then hooking them a little,
Yeah.
so that way they can go, you know what? We'll come down and we'll go to Tecumseh or a Paints game and then spend the night and then maybe go to Adena Mansion or hop on the trails or go out to, some other place and have some fun, right? I mean, that's pretty amazing to think about. And that's really where we've come.
Yeah. I think those businesses they better be prepared this summer.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to be busy. They're going to be maximum capacity because people are wanting to do those things.
Yeah.
Tecumseh, I think they'll have a great season. I think, like I told Brian Wickline, I'm like, dude, there are a lot of people who are dying to watch the baseball.
Well,
so be
and
prepared.
to the point where I was like, man, we better buy season tickets this year because, the walk-up business, especially with the limited crowds, and who knows what it's going to look like by June, but with a limited crowd, that might make things a little more problematic, right?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we already know we're probably not going to as many Reds games as we normally go to. In fact, I usually bought a package, a small one, split it up with a couple people, but we didn't do that this year either. So, I hope you're right. I hope that we're all sitting here trying to figure out how to jam, all these people into Chillicothe at some point in time during summer. I think we will. I think it will. The thing that gives me a lot of hope and a lot of optimism is exactly what you're saying. Not only are people around here excited about it, but I also think people are sort of saying to themselves for the first time, I don't know what it's like in other areas. And so I don't know if they're adhering to guidelines or not. So maybe I'll stay a little closer to home this year to do some things. And I think that might help us out quite a bit.
I think so too.
So let's hope so.
Yeah.
And then that'll be another success to celebrate with the idea that we're going to have to go on to something else.
Yeah. It's fun to celebrate.
Yeah.
But let's not forget to take that opportunity and miss out on that moment. And it's so easy to do. You get caught up in the busyness of trying to be successful that you don't ever recognize the success.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Good stuff, man.
All right.
You've been listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford.
We just settled in and it already feels like home. Feels like home. Feels like home.
Did that work?
Hang on. In the middle of that,
Mm-hmm.
it shut off.
Oh, man.
Hang on. Let me stop. Gosh, please tell me. It's recording. Oh, wait, it still says it's recording.